Hi everyone, and welcome to Creatives Connect. My name is Jemma Rosenthal. So this is just to share a little bit about Creative Hearts and what we do here, and a little bit about just kind of the ethos and the what we're about. Creative Hearts is about providing support networking for creative people. And when we say creative people, it's really quite a broad name for us really, because you can be creative and be a coach, for example. Like Rebecca's here as a coach. I'm also a coach. I'm also a creative artist, so I do singing, songwriting, dancing, acting, choreography. I do a lot of different creative things. It's also a place where you can share your creativity and your spiritual experiences. So, one of the things that I found while I was going through a spiritual awakening and kind of seeing things in a different way, I found that it's really good to have groups where you can talk about those experiences and where you can just be open and honest about different people's experiences as well. So some people might not have the same experiences as you, but it's really good to come together and to talk about these things. We offer a variety of workshops, coaching, healing, videos, blogs, and other resources, and both group and one-to-ones are available. And we're going to start with some introductions. So I'll introduce myself, and Jamilia's come in as well. And if we can keep introductions really brief. So last week it was absolutely amazing because we had loads of conversation and we just talked for hours and hours. But I also want to be mindful of everybody's energy. So that's why we're going to do the conversations are going to be after we've finished the call. So you can stay and talk a bit after if you want to, but for the introductions, we're just going to keep it really short and brief. So I've done a little guide so we know how to do that. So I'll just give you a demonstration of what that will be, and then we'll move on to Rebecca and then everybody else. If you want to share, you don't have to, but if you want to type it in the chat box, that's fine as well, or you can just raise your hand. So who are you? So my name is Jemma, and what do you do? I'm a creative artist. I sing, dance, write, and act, and I run Creative Hearts. Why are you here, and what would you like out of the session? I'm here because I created this group, and I'd like out of the session to just. One second, I need to. Jamila again. And I'd like out of the session is just to connect with you all, see what your ideas are, what you'd like to create at the end of this year, to support you guys and to introduce Rebecca to you all if you don't already know Rebecca. So, Rebecca, off you go. Introduce yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Rebecca Norton. I am a life and wellbeing coach. I'm based in Sheffield, and I find the outdoors influences a lot of what I do and how I work. I love sort of sharing my expertise with people and helping them with their well-being and work-life balance, basically. And that's what I hope to do tonight, is to share some tips about how we can end the year on a high, rather than just writing it off and waiting until 2024.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. Who would like to go next?
I can go next. I don't mind.
Sandra, off you go.
I'm Sandra Rowell. I'm from the northeast of England near Newcastle, Durham, Newcastle way. I'm a business coach, and the reason why I'm here tonight is Rebecca's sort of brought me awareness of this evening. So it was quite interesting to come along and listen to her, but to now find out a little bit more about Creatives Connect. So that's really, at the end of this, is just enjoy the evening and understand and connect with you more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. Who would like to go next? You can just unmute yourself.
Yeah, shall I go next?
Yep.
Hey, I'm Kumi, based in Sheffield. I'm a property investor, stroke property Asian, helping people go into the property journey. I'm here because very much lastminute.com, Rebecca posted this invitation and I got curious. Rebecca is my coach, has been my coach to help me through my business growth as well as personal growth in the past. So I just came here to see what this is about and to give Rebecca support as well.
Thank you, Kumi. Thank you for being here. You've got a lovely living room, by the way. I love how it's designed. It's got art in the background.
Virtual background, sorry.
Oh, is it a virtual background? I love it. I love it that we live in a virtual world. Well, it's beautiful anyway. It looked real. I love it. Okay, who's next?
I can go next.
Uh-huh.
So my name is Marussia. I'm originally from Bulgaria, but I live in Birmingham, a small village just outside Chesterfield. I'm an English teacher. That's something I've been doing for 24 years, but I'm also mindfulness life coach and a natural mindfulness guide. I channel my creativity through writing poems, visualizations, creating mindfulness courses, and I've been using mindfulness tools in my English lessons for the past 5-6 years. Why I'm here, it has to be short. I met this beautiful soul, Jemma, 3 weeks ago. And I found out about the group, so I'm very pleased to find out more about other creative souls and connect with. Yes, and get inspired.
Thank you so much, Marussia. I'm smiling so much. I'm so grateful that we met, and I'm grateful you're here. And also, Marussia is going to be doing a Creatives Connect very soon, so keep an eye on that coming up soon.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Chris.
Okay, Chris Sissons. You can see it all on the screen. My business is called Market Together. I'm a marketing coach, which I know sounds boring, but I specialize in using stories for marketing and business development, which a lot of people think sounds a bit less boring. I help you get your stories, your experiences story ready so that you can use them in public. That's really what I'm about. But it's endlessly fascinating once you get the story on the psychiatrist's couch and you and I work on it. You wouldn't believe what comes out of it. Stories are very amenable and very cooperative and never do what you ask them to do.
Yeah.
And why am I here? Well, I have on odd occasions worked with Jemma. We run a podcast together, so I come along to support her. But I've also known Rebecca for several years. I heard her story so long ago, I'd need a nudge to remember what it was about. But it's always rewarding, and I've heard stories from well over 80, probably getting on for 100 different people now. So you can see why sometimes I have memory lapses. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to hearing what Rebecca has to say and to see how the evening goes.
Thank you, Chris. Yes, Chris's storytelling sessions are really good. I've had quite a few, so I highly recommend. Next. Who have we got left? Mick, Jodie, or Siobhan?
I'll go next. Hi, I'm Jodie. I'm a qualified nurse. I come to these sessions mainly in support of Jemma, really. So she introduced them, and then we did like a bit of coaching and Reiki in the past, which we're going to sort of pick up again. But I just like to join and like connect with others and see what others sort of have to say.
Thank you, Jodie. Yeah, we went to college together as well back in the day. We did acting. So yeah, that I don't know if we've got Mick and Siobhan left. I know both of you probably won't be talking, but if you want to write anything in the group chat to introduce yourself, or Siobhan, if you want to unmute, it's totally up to you.
Hi, yeah, I'll just do a quick intro. My name's Siobhan. I'm also a coach and a creative in Sheffield. Poetry and writing are the things that I'm really passionate about. I love photography as well. I've done some work with Jemma in the past around both of those things. And I'm really here just to absorb and just to connect again. I've had a really busy day today, so I just want to relax and do something positive with my evening. So yeah, that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Thanks, Siobhan. Yeah, I'll just introduce Mick for him. Mick is an artist and he will be painting tonight and listening in on us talking. And he's just had an amazing exhibition at Ecclesall Woods. So he's the resident artist there. So I highly recommend going to check out Mick's work. And yeah, so we're going to go on to the topic now of ending the year on a high. So what does this mean to you? Before we go into the topic and Rebecca talks about it, I just want us to just meditate a little bit on this. So if you can get yourself into a nice position, you might want to be seated, or if you've got your camera off, you might be laying down. Just put your hands in a position where they're just nice and comfy, and relax your shoulders and close your eyes if that feels good to you. And just taking a few breaths in and out. Just focus on your breathing. And start to notice the chair you're sat on, or if you're laying down, notice the floor or the bed that you're laid on. And just feel yourself being supported by this chair or whatever you're laid on. Sometimes we can feel very much in our heads and disconnected from the world around us. So right now is a chance for us to feel that support that's already there, that's already giving us something to connect with. We're already connected. So just focusing on where you're sat or lying down. And just have gratitude for this connection, for this support. And I'll just extend that to the earth as well. So imagining you've got roots that are going down, down into the earth. And just feel supported today by the earth, by Mother Earth. And just feel your connection to all things tonight. To nature, to the animals, to other people. Just feel that sense of connection. And now just coming back into the room where you are and back into your body, and place your hands on your heart if you can. And as you place your hands on your heart, focus on your breath going in and out through your heart, or through your as you focus on your heart. Sense the beating of your heart, sense that connection between your hands and your heart. And now imagine that everyone in this space, in this Zoom, is actually here together. Imagine we're physically in the space together, perhaps in a circle. And just feel that our hearts are joined in this moment. That we're all here to support each other. And just focus on that unconditional love that you have for yourself, but also other people, however they show up in this moment. It's okay. And just keep breathing into your heart and receiving that love from other people in the group, while at the same time giving it as well. And just coming back to your body now, your whole body, and the chair that you're sat on, or wherever you're laying down. And just sense your whole body full of this love, full of this support and honouring. And now just think about the next few months. Where would you like to be at the end of this year? What would you like to have achieved? What would you like to have done? Just think of a couple of things, maybe 3 things. Then think of what you might have already achieved this year. These are some things that maybe Rebecca might go into a bit more in a minute. I might be preempting. But just keep those things in mind. And as you're opening your eyes, if you've got a piece of paper or anything to write on, just make a few notes. It might be about how you felt in the meditation, or it might be some of the things that you want to achieve, or some of the things you already have achieved. We'll just spend a few moments writing down if you do have a pen. If you don't worry about it. You can type it in the chat. Okay, and when you're ready, does anyone want to share anything that they wrote down with the group? I know Jamila's not introduced herself yet, so if you want to introduce yourself, Jamilia.
Hi, my name's Jamelia. I'm, I say, a creative. I'm just at a point now where I'm just kind of exploring my creative energy and seeing like what I've got the most passion for. I guess I'm here today just because I was at the last Creatives Connect and it was absolutely amazing, and I loved getting to know so many amazing other people. and it was just really nice to connect to like-minded people as well. I was also added to the Creatives Connect group, so Jemma put this on and it just looked really intriguing, so I thought I'd join and explore what's happening today. But I'm really excited. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And do you have anything to share about how you felt in the meditation or what you want to achieve this year?
When we were meditating, I felt peace, and I also felt connection when you were saying, imagine that everyone's here together. I guess by the end of the year, it would be cool to share more. I'd say I'd say sometimes I can create stuff and then overthink it and not necessarily put it out there. So it'd be cool if by the end of the year I was kind of regularly sharing more creatively. So that's kind of just so that I can create more connection and meet other like-minded people too. So that's kind of what came up for me while we were meditating.
Yeah, that's amazing. Share more creatively. I'm jotting that down so we can talk about that in our call. I'm excited. Yeah, you've got a beautiful voice. So I just want to recommend to anyone, if you don't already follow Jamelia, then do, because not only have you've got skills as a musician and a songwriter, because you write so beautifully and you sing so wonderfully, but also it's your message as well, and just the genuineness of how you share that with other people.
Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
So thank you for doing that, and I'd love to support you in doing more of sharing your creativity. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for creating these spaces as well.
Does anyone else want to share how they felt in the meditation or what they want to achieve this year? Sandra?
I don't mind. For me, feeling quite in the meditation is, you've got that much going on in your life that your head's all over the place.
Yeah.
That it's nice to actually feel a lot more centered and present by doing that meditation. I don't find meditation easy, but I do try and do that, whether that's sort of listening to focus back into my mind. And that's really one of the things that I focus a lot on giving others a lot, but I don't think about my own sort of mindful routine and think about me. So I think that going forward, that's really one of the things that I feel I need to do for myself.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing about that. Yeah, it's so important, especially if we're in healer roles, then sometime, or coaching mode, we tend to give a lot to others, but actually giving to ourselves is so important. So that's a really good goal to have. Does anyone else want to share what they're wanting to achieve this year, their goals for the end of the year, before we get on to Rebecca? Okay, Rebecca, do you want to share?
Yeah. I'm doing a bit of decorating at the minute, so I'd like to have that done by the end of the year. That's my goal, I think, actually. So thank you. I really enjoyed the meditation. It is lovely just to take that moment of peace. I think, like Sandra said, it's so easy to get busy and caught up in everything else. It's something I would like to do a little bit more often, actually, as well. So that was a really good start.
Thank you.
And I guess this sort of topic came when me and Jemma were talking about it really the other week, and it was something that came up with one of my clients as well on the last session that I had with them, in terms of a lot of people get towards sort of October and we start seeing things in the shops about Christmas and what have you, and people think, oh, the end of the year, there's no point starting something new now, may as well wait until January. And it feels like we're sort of, a lot of people sort of take the foot off the gas a little bit, and it's fine to take those rests, but actually when we're in October, we've still got a quarter of the year left. And I think it's a really good reminder that there's a lot that we can do within those 2-3 months before we get to the end of the year. You know, we've still got 2.5 months. And I think actually if we can start making those little changes now to build momentum, so we have a really great start in January, you know, have a play around with small changes now, tweak a few things, get into some really good habits, so that when it comes to January, it's not as difficult. You know, January can be quite a challenging time of year for people to make New Year's resolutions. You know, we start talking about these New Year's resolutions and goals and things, but often we're probably feeling quite sluggish because we may be partying too much over the new year. People may have debts because they spent too much over Christmas, they've overindulged. You know, the weather's probably going to be cold and very dark. So actually, it's not the best time of year to try and start making a lot of these changes, where actually, if we can start putting little bits in now, building up some of those good habits, by the time we get to January, hopefully they'll just be ingrained and it won't feel such a challenge to do that. And I think that's probably one of the biggest messages I want to share this evening, is just encourage you to keep going. And like Jemma was saying in that meditation, you know, think about what you would like, what would make it a really great year for you. You know, what could you do now to make 2023 a really great year? What little things might that be? You know, and sometimes we can perhaps feel a little bit disappointed that we haven't done as much as what we'd wanted when we started the year, you know, and we can feel like, oh, I've still not done that, or I've not done this. But again, like Jemma was saying, think about all the things that you have done. That's a really, really powerful exercise, is making a list of all the things that you have actually achieved this year, or all the things that you've accomplished. And not necessarily just business and work wise either, you know, maybe it's a health goal that you've had, or a relationship thing, or traveling. Making a list of all the things that you have done can sometimes just give you that bit of inspiration you need to keep going toward the end of the year and think, oh, actually, I could just do this. You know, I could go on another little holiday, or I could meet up with friends that I've been meaning to all year, and putting those little things in place. And I know when we were chatting, Jemma, you were saying about the things that you've managed to do in sort of the last quarter, haven't you, in terms of actually surprising that 2.5 months is quite a big chunk of time that we can make a big difference in.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether you want to share your example, actually, because I thought that was a really powerful example of what you've done.
I think I gave the example of well, I gave a couple of examples of what I've just achieved within the last few months, but also previously as well, in previous years, when I'd sort of made a goal in September of like, I'm going to do these things, and it just really pushed me to do those things. So this last month, I've managed to put up a website, I've started a master's degree, and I've also like sorted out booking systems as well. So I've really come a long way in helping my business to grow in terms of how I'm putting myself out there. And all these things I have been working on for a while, but the actual doing of them, I've been working with a coach called Pink Flamingo Marketing on my website, and we've only been doing it I think it's a couple of months maybe, and might be 3 months, but yeah, like the end of the year, that's 3 months. You know, you could have a website by the end of the year. Do you know what I mean? So it's like there's so much we can do within quite short periods of time, and I think we underestimate sometimes. I know there is that thing where they say you overestimate what you can do in 3 months and like underestimate what you can do in a year, which is true. However, don't underestimate what you can do in 3 months. So another example was a year when I decided that I was going to start doing online workshops with guests, or with co-hosting. And I think I did 4, well, I don't know if it was 3 or 4 months, like every month I'd done a workshop online. And then I also decided that I wanted to do these things called tuning in, which was a concert and conversation. So I ended up doing 2 of those as well, I think, which were hour-long performances online. This was it wasn't quite during the I think I did some in the pandemic, but I think it was even before the pandemic that I started these. I'm not quite sure, the timeline might be wrong there, but no, it would have been the pandemic, because I think it'd be 2020, yeah, that I started, or 2021. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I did a Christmas theme one. So make sure you check that one out at Christmas. So just an hour long of me singing Christmas songs and my own songs. And it was really fun. And I remember at the end of that year going, wow, I've really done a lot in the last 3 months. And that was just because I gave it that intention. So I really sat down in September and was just like, I'm going to get these things done. And I also did it last year as well, where I made a music video and I put out a single. And again, it was just that intention of, this is going to get done within this time frame. I know I've got 3 months to do it. So how do I go about that? And then just planning it. And it's okay if you don't get everything done that you've got on your list, because obviously, yeah, we don't want to overestimate what we can do, but it's just about having that intention of, yeah, I can make this a good 3 months of solid output. Or it doesn't have to be solid output, it could be solid input, to you, to nourish yourself, to have good self-care.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful, the intention, I think, and sometimes having a set time frame, if you give yourself, right, I've got till the end of the year, it feels a lot more manageable, and it feels like, oh, I've got some boundaries around this. When we make intentions at the beginning of the year, we've got a whole 12 months before the year's up, and sometimes that can just sort of bleed into the next month and the next month. Or actually, when we get to October, we've got a clear boundary. And I think sometimes it makes a really nice marker post is, right, I want to have this done by the end of the year. And like you say, it can just give you that little boost of energy to do that. And then it can focus you as well. I think that's really important as well, focusing your energy and think, right, this is what I want to focus on the next 3 months. And like you said, it might be around your well-being, it might be a work thing or a personal thing, but actually dedicating some time and energy on something specific can be really, really helpful. And I guess that's the other thing, is when you're making changes, is it just put one thing in place. I think sometimes we can get a bit overwhelmed by trying to make too many changes. So just choosing one thing to focus on, and dedicating your time to do that. Because I talk about small steps and big results. So I've got a webinar coming up in mid-November. So in January, I have a program called Starter for 10, and I talk about small changes. But I like to start talking about it in November, because we can start making little changes now, so that when we come to January, we've already got something behind us. And once we start building that momentum, it's so much easier to carry on, to do that. Like a steam train, once it gets going, it's really difficult to stop. It might have taken a while to get it started, but once we're going, we've got that momentum, and that can carry us through. And I guess the other thing that you've touched on there a little bit, what I wanted to mention, was about looking after your well-being as well, because when we get to this time of year and we've got shorter days, darker nights, it gets colder, it can be really challenging for some people. Some people really struggle with that SAD disorder, seasonal affective disorder, and find it psychologically hard, so it can be really, really challenging for some people. And I think looking after yourself and recognizing if you do struggle with that is putting some things in place now. Start doing that now, so that you can sort of be prepared for that. So maybe getting one of these lights, these lamps that can help, getting as much daylight as you can as possible, getting some fresh air, during the middle of the day, go out and get some fresh air, get some daylight. Making sure that you're staying connected with people as well. It's really important that you don't, you might want to hibernate and just close the door, shut the curtains, hide under a duvet, but actually it's really important that you stay connected with people as well, and keep talking to people, nourishing yourself as well, making sure that you're eating well. I think, again, sometimes our sleeping patterns can get out of kilter a little bit at this time of year. It's much easier to stay in bed, because who wants to get up when it's dark and it's cold outside, and as soon as we get in from work, that's it, slippers on, pajamas on, in front of TV or whatever it is. And again, it can be really hard for us to do that. So try and stay active, eat well, hydrate, talk to people, and really make that effort to look after yourself. I think, again, when it gets to December, we may have invitation to go out on parties or work dues, or, you know, start thinking about Christmas parties and things like that. And again, that can be really tiring, because it's hard on us to keep going and doing late nights, and perhaps we're overindulging in rich food and things, you know, and we're getting stressed out with Christmas and buying presents. So looking after yourself and really putting some things in place to nourish yourself, and that self-care is really important at this time of year. I think probably more than any other time, actually, to just make sure you are, yeah, really looking after yourself and putting some time aside every week to do something that's good for you. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I think one of the things I really admire about you as a coach, because I've had coaching sessions with you as well, and it's that you're very good at helping us to see what habits we need to put in place, and also like having boundaries with yourself, really, to make sure that you're nourishing yourself and making sure that you're doing what you need to do, whether it's for your business or for your life. And I think it's very valuable what you bring, you know, to help us to do that. And I did do your Starter for 10 course last year, and it really did help motivate me at the start of the year. And I love what you were saying about starting now as well, to put those habits in place. And as creative people as well, I want to say specifically for some of us, we do tend to sort of live in that more, I guess, like spontaneous state where we just go, oh, I feel like doing this, or I don't feel like doing that. And sometimes we need to have more discipline when it comes to making sure we have sleep, making sure we have food, making sure we have rest, making sure, you know, our space is clean and stuff like that. And yeah, so I think what you're talking about is really important for our mental health, for our physical well-being as well. Yeah, so I just wanted to say thanks for that, for bringing that to us all tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, and like you said, the thing is, if we end up becoming unwell if we don't look after ourselves, you know, and who wants to start 2024 feeling rubbish, you know? So really think about what do you need to do to make yourself feel good as well, you know. If that, what are the activities that nourish your soul? What are the activities that recharge your batteries and make you feel energized as well, you know? And making sure that we've got some time to do that and put that in place is really important. Yeah.
Definitely. Does anyone want to share anything about what Rebecca has just said? Yeah.
I think for me, setting intentions, you know, what you said, Gemma, was that sometimes your creatives go off and you think, oh, you know, and you're very spontaneous of what you do. That can be the same for many of us. And this is what I feel for myself at times, is setting those intentions. We don't go deep enough to understand how important that is. And so what happens often is we tell lies to ourselves. So we wouldn't think of lying or letting anybody down. That's my view. My value is that, you know, I would support anyone at any time with anything. And yet sometimes those intentions, I'm not going deep enough for myself, or even when I'm getting coaching, I'm saying it, but I'm not really feeling it. And so therefore what happens is that I set out with a great intention, but then I lie to myself when things are getting tough. And that's really when we need to really home in and start saying, but what's that all about? And you know, when I was talking about sort of that mindfulness and the well-being, is sometimes maybe, you know, we look at our diaries and we've got, like today, I think I was like, you know, I could have had a sweeping brush in one arm and thing, you know, I was doing so many things. And that was because I'm not really being intentional of what I needed to do today, you know. And so I think that is literally really important, and it really sits well with the way I need to look after myself as well as supporting others that I coach as well. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to add anything on that topic? It's so interesting. Some sessions, every session is so different because sometimes everybody wants to, like last time, it was just everyone was talking, talking, talking. This time, a little bit more quieter. It's really interesting how each session is so different. That's what I love about it. You just, each group creates their own energy field as a sort of thing. So I think maybe we are more reflective tonight, and it's lovely to just sit with yourself and not always have to share or not always have to speak, but just to take in what's been said and to listen and to figure out what that means for you. But do feel you can share as well if you want to.
I think that's really interesting, Gemma, because I think sometimes when we are really busy, it can be quite difficult to find the time to reflect, and sometimes that's an unconscious thing. We just don't make the time to do that. And other times, I think a bit like Sandra was saying, is because perhaps we don't want to face something, and actually by keep going and keep going, we can avoid something. So sometimes that can be really uncomfortable. But I think this time of year is quite useful for that reflection, and a lot of people do tend to do that when we come to this sort of time in the year. We start thinking about, right, what have we done, what do we want to do next year, but actually trying to see it as really positive and learn from what's happened this year. Maybe you didn't do everything that you wanted to do, and why was that? Is it because you didn't make it a priority? Is it because other things came up? Did your circumstances change? There's nothing wrong with what we've done or not done, but we can certainly learn from it. And what can we do differently next year, or the things that we need to put in place that will help us? For me, it's definitely about scheduling things. If I don't schedule it, then it can just really slide, and it can be a few months before I've done what I wanted to do, or perhaps it just doesn't get done at all. So actually scheduling things is what I found really important for me. And it's interesting what you were saying there about being spontaneous and boundaries, because actually they support each other. As daft as it sounds, by having boundaries, it allows for freedom, because we can put some boundaries around our time that allows us to have that freedom and go off and do those spontaneous things. So again, some people think, oh, habits and routines are really boring and it's going to make me boring, but actually sometimes that's what gives us the opportunity to do all the fun things that we really want to do as well. So it can be a really supportive process to do that.
Definitely. And
Chris?
yeah, go on, Chris.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Gemma stole Rebecca's thunder at the beginning, so I'm now going to steal some more of a thunder. Lightning thieves, both of us. One really important thing, that reflection is really important. But when people say reflection, we tend to think, oh, I've just got to sit very still and empty my mind and all of that sort of stuff. Nonsense. Go for a walk. Now, Albert Einstein, Charles Darwin, and there must be some famous women who've done it as well. They got their ideas through going for a walk. In fact, I think somebody was saying on the radio, both of them didn't do any work until they'd gone for a walk, because that actually got their minds going. And it's a great inspiration, because it gets the blood flowing around your body. You soon get what, and this is the best time of the year, right through until sort of March, because you can get really warm without overheating. But the rhythm and the actually helps your mind to function, and it's a good idea, which I mostly forget to do, to take a notebook with you and a pen. Very frustrating when you find your notebook and then discover you've not brought a pen. And you can just jot down anything that pops into your head. And the thing is that your subconscious is working all the time, but it needs to be released somehow. And somehow walking does that. And I certainly find it's a lot more effective than just sitting and trying to reflect. So if you don't habitually walk, give it a try. I'm sure Rebecca can add a lot to that.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, that's really good. You know, a lot of you who already know me know I do a lot of sort of the outdoor stuff, and walking is my big thing. And there have been studies shown that, you know, it really helps with that well-being, but that creative thinking as well. It really stimulates your mind, and it can sort of I think one of the things with walking is there is that rhythm, but also our mind is gently distracted. It's absorbed by the environment, which then allows our subconscious to work, and we get the ideas percolating through and stuff. So I think that's where it can be helpful. Actually, yeah, it releases that energy, doesn't it? You know, I think it's a lovely, lovely thing to do. You know, and especially if you can go and, you know, turn your mobile off. And I prefer to walk. I don't like listening to things while I'm walking. Sometimes it's nice to have a podcast on or whatever, but actually it's really nice to engage in nature, especially if you are out in the countryside or woods or a park or something. Actually listen to the surroundings rather than listening to something else, because then it allows our mind to work much more effectively if we're just engaged in the surroundings and stuff. But yeah, if you feel your energy dropping, go out for a walk, because it's a real energy booster, and it's a lovely way of reflecting. Definitely, yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Chris.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely having a walk and being out in nature can completely help us feel better. I mean, even today, I reminded myself to go outside and just sit and read and write and have some food as well, because it's just like I could have just carried on and just stayed on my laptop all day. But I have to give myself those reminders of, no, it's okay to just sit outside for a bit, because that's going to help me connect to the things around me. You know, I heard the birds, and it's like sometimes when we're always on our screens, we get so caught up into that world, but we don't see the world around us. So for sure, definitely getting outside is important. We're getting fairly near the end. Got about 5 minutes. But what I want to ask is something that I suppose is quite hard to answer, but how, because staying high, like ending the year on a high, it's not just an individual thing, it's also a collective thing. So, you know, in our individual lives, we could say, okay, put in some habits, you know, go outside, make sure I'm eating well. But how does it fit into, well, first of all, our local communities and how we interact with other people, but also, you know, globally as well? I know there's a lot going on, and it's easy to kind of, it's like, because I was talking to Yusuf actually the other day, and who's not on tonight but might be watching the replay, and you know, we're having this conversation about how do we, on the one hand, we want to stay present with what's actually here for us, but at the same time, we don't want to close our hearts to the pain of what might be happening somewhere else in the world. So I don't know what your thoughts are around how we combine compassion and activism and making sure that we're helping other people, as well as community. Does it make sense?
I think you know, sometimes it's just really simple stuff like smiling at people on the street, sharing that bit of positivity. You know, it might be the only person who smiled at that person that day, you know, or starting small conversations with people in a shop or a bus stop. Actually, it can start with really small actions that has that ripple effect. You know, if you brighten someone else's day up, then the likelihood is they will have better interactions with other people as they're going around, you know, and sharing positive things. You know, social media can be wonderful or it can be really awful in places, but not engaging. You know, there's I can't, like a little what's the story, like a little fable thing where a boy asked his grandfather about the two wolves inside us. You know, you've got the bad wolf and the good wolf. And the little boy asked his granddad which wolf, you know, survives. And the granddad says, whichever one you feed. You know, so it's really important that we feed ourselves. It's up to us what we take in and what we consume and what we read, you know. So actually, yes, we don't want to cut everything out, but we can make sure that we're engaging in the really positive stuff, you know, and sharing that with other people. I think, and yeah, like you say, not blanking things out, but making sure we're sharing the good stuff as well.
Yeah. I made a post today and I think I put something like focus on the good stuff, but it's okay to feel bad. If you feel bad, feel it to heal it. But then put your focus on what can I do? You know, what action can I take that's going to improve whatever situation it is that you're worried about. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the worry tree, where you've got can I do something about it? Yes. Do it. No. Then you just have to accept. It's really simple. So it's like thinking, can I do something about it? And if you can, do that action. And if you can't do anything about it, then you just have to accept that you can't currently do anything about it.
Yeah, it's like that circle of control, and that's something that I have in my Starter for 10 thing is actually, you know, if you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed by things, is you literally draw a circle, and on the inside of the circle you write down everything you can control, and on the outside the things that you can't. You know, and actually thinking about reminding yourself what you do have control over. So we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to what happens to us, you know, and a lot of that is around our mindset as well, in terms of we can look at things from a different perspective if possible, you know, well, what can we take from this and what can I do about it? I think that's really important, Gemma, is what you said there, is what can I do about it? And if I can't do anything, then accept it and let it go. And it might be that gives you some sort of movement on it, even, you know. I think sometimes just letting go and accepting things can give us a different mindset, and maybe it's something that we can come back to, or maybe it's something that we can influence, you know. Similar things with climate change is we can't necessarily do a lot ourselves, but we can do our part. We can do the recycling, or we can reuse things, you know. So we might not be able to change it, but we can perhaps influence it a little bit. Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Thank you. And I also want to say, like, how, you know, we're saying about ending the year on a high. And I think the more we can do some good in the world, the more we can share, you know, like you said, a smile. Someone actually said to me today that they saw I'd shared a video and they said, oh, you were smiling and that made me smile. So that felt really good, you know, to pass on that energy, like you said. But also it might be just, you know, messaging someone and saying, would you like a chat, or, you know, would you like to go for a walk, and connecting with people in the real world as well as online, you know, but actually connecting individually with people, I think, is really important, as well as you know, joining group things. So the more we can connect with others, and listen to each other and everyone's different perspectives as well, and having compassion for where somebody might be at any point in time, I suppose. Just to hone in on that, you know, it's not just an individual thing that we want to end the high. Like, it's not just, oh, I want to end the year on a high. No, I also want to experience that joy with other people. So collectively.
I had a conversation with someone yesterday who's and she was saying that the news from Israel Palestine has just overwhelmed her, and she couldn't really get on with her work. And she's a life coach.
Yeah.
And so we had a conversation. A couple of things came up. First of all, if you check on BBC Sounds, Radio 4, 10 to 9 on yesterday morning, Sunday morning, there's Will Self did his 10 minutes thought. And you may fine that you don't fully agree with it, but I think it's worth listening to, because since February he's not listened to the news. He's cut the news out of his life altogether. And he was saying he saw a flag at half-mast this week, and his son confirmed that there'd been a terrorist incident, and he said, "I can tell you about it, Dad, if you like." And Will South said, "Before you do that, just tell me, is there anything I can do about it?" And his son said no, and he says, "Well, I'll find out later." Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think it's worth bearing in mind. The other thing we came up with, and it's been almost said already, is the serenity prayer, which I can never remember all the words, but
I know it because it's on my phone.
give me the serenity
To accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
and the point was that we came to was, by doing her work and reaching out to people and offering her life coaching skills, she opens up possibilities of more conversations, which might move people in the direction she wants them to move over the Israel-Palestine issue. So actually doing her stuff was likely to be the most constructive thing that she can do.
Well, that's interesting because I had a conversation last night. I had an interview, so that's going to come out pretty soon, and I talk about the release of my album and the women's empowerment books that I've been in, and I'm sort of saying, like, you know, how does this fit into what's going on in the world? Like, how am I making a difference? And what we kind of talked about is how the way that they treat people who have feminine ways of being is part of the reason why, you know, because it's such a, you know, I'll attack this group and I'll attack this, it's very disrespectful to women, but also anyone that is, you know, comes at life from a more feminine perspective. So I think if we can empower everyone to have a bit more balance in their life, have a bit more compassion, have a bit more listening to each other, caring for each other, not just attacking straight away when we hear an opinion, but trying to understand, why does that person have that opinion? Where are they getting their information from? You know, I've been to a few, you know, Free Palestine events I think I sang at one of them, you know, so I've been surrounded by people who've been sharing about that, but I don't know a lot about it. I still don't know the ins and outs of everything, so I don't feel I've got the authority to speak on it. And yet, you know, sometimes I'm looking through my social media and people are saying, like, your silence is as bad as, you know, oppressing. And because I come from Jewish background as well, it's like really scary to think how to solve these issues that go so far back. Even me speaking right now, I'm not quite sure how to express what I'm trying to say, but I guess it's like any group of people that oppresses another group of people and doesn't allow for, you know, unity and compassion and acceptance and appreciation of that other people is wrong. You know, it should be, you know, dealt with. But, you know, when you've got any imbalance of power as well. So I think I'm still trying to figure it, you know, how I can express myself with it. The reason why we're speaking about it is because we're trying to end the year on a high, and when there are things going on in the world which seem to be very, very low, or very, very sad, or upsetting, fearful, it's good to be able to talk about those things in a way that's compassionate and open and understanding.
I think it's really important to acknowledge that there's always going to be some bad things around, you know, and it's not letting those pull us down whilst also still being compassionate about it. I think that's the key, isn't it? Is sort of being able to protect your own energy whilst also helping others, and being, like you say, just reaching out to people and connecting with other people and sending people messages, and you know, sending out love to the world as well. You know, the different meditations that you can do, isn't there, that can help with that sort of thing as well. I think sometimes just sending that positive energy can really make a difference.
I think I might have to do some like EFT on it tonight, because I think I've got some emotions that are like just wanting to, maybe I do a prayer or something for the situation. In fact, we could probably do it now, just like to end the session. We'll just do a quick meditation / prayer where we'll just go into compassion around that, but also around what we've talked about tonight. So let's go into our heart again. Just also sitting, feeling the support of your chair first, of where you're sat, and just taking a few deep breaths in and out. And know that you're supported in this moment by this group. Whatever things, feelings, thoughts, or emotions that might have arisen tonight, just know that it's all okay and you're loved. And just focusing on your heart. And the energy of the group. Just sending compassion to everyone in this group tonight. Thanking them for being here. And now just sending compassion to the world, or if you want to send it to a certain specific part of the world that might be struggling tonight. And if this feels right to you, then you can pray for peace and for a miracle to occur. Just have gratitude for your heart and how much love you can feel, and compassion for those that might be suffering. And now moving your mind and your heart forward to these next 3 months and what you would like to bring to the world, what you would like to do, what actions will you take? How will you make a difference? How will you use your voice, your time, your energy to improve your situation or to improve situations of those around you or the world, or all of them? What are the actions that you're going to take moving forward in the next 3 months? Maybe you see yourself going for a walk, taking time for your energy, connect with nature. Maybe you see yourself having conversations with other people. Maybe you see yourself meditating. Maybe you see yourself sharing about topics that really matter to you, or giving donations, or running a support group, or giving coaching sessions. Whatever it is that you feel that you're best suited towards, where's your energy gonna really help people this evening? Not this evening, moving forward into the next 3 months. And just have gratitude for yourself that you're here, that you're connecting with other people, and know that you're needed in this world and that your actions do make a difference. And just thank yourself. And also, if you just want to tap yourself on the back or on the shoulders, or give yourself a hug, you can gently open your eyes when you're ready. Just thank yourself. I actually just thought of a song. So it was a Free Palestine event that I was at, and we all sang as a group. It's a few months ago, so it was before all this, well, the recent news. And we sang the song You'll Never Walk Alone. So I might just sing that, a little bit of that to end it. And if you want to sing along, whatever that song means for you, it could just be about not feeling alone, connecting with other people, or you can relate it to the events that we've talked about. When you walk through a storm, you can sing along with me as well if you want. Hold your head up high, if you know the words, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky, and the sweet silver song of the lark. Walk on through the rain, walk on through the wind, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. Thank you. Thanks for listening and connecting tonight. I hope you've all had a lovely evening. This has been Creative Hearts, Rebecca Norton, and I will put all her links underneath as well. So if Rebecca, if you want to send me any links of events that you've got coming up, if you just want to share the event that you've got coming up as well, just so people know.
Thank you. Yeah, so I've got my How to Have a Stress-Free Christmas next Monday. So I know Christmas is one of those Marmite things for some people, love it or hate it, but a little bit of prior planning and preparation goes a long way. And I want to share with people some tips on that. So again, they can end the year on a high and actually enjoy Christmas rather than seeing it as a really stressful time of year. And then my Small Steps webinar in November, which I will share with Jemma. But yeah, thank you for inviting me along this evening. It's been lovely to chat with people.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.